Hey, it's Mr. Engstrom. Let's take a look at the quiz that we took today, Thursday. We're going to look at the 5 most commonly missed problems. Let's take a look at number 1. Number 1 asks for the range of the function. Remember, range is anything y can be. Here's the y-axis. So the smallest thing y can be is right there at -4. And it can include there's no open circle, so it can be -4. So we have a bracket. Then it doesn't keep on going up forever. Okay, so I know it's not D because it doesn't keep on going up forever. It stops, and it stops right here. Now, even though there's an open circle there, there's a closed one there. So the highest thing, the biggest thing y can be is that +5, and it can include that. So the answer is C. The next one we'll look at is number 7. Look, it says classify this system of equations. So if you look at these answer choices, you notice that 2 of them shouldn't make sense to you. Consistent, independent, consistent, independent, inconsistent, independent. Let's take a look at that. An inconsistent system is never dependent. So that doesn't make sense. So it's not C. Well, this doesn't make sense either. So it's either going to be A or B. Okay, so look in your notes, make sure you know what these terms mean. Consistent versus inconsistent, dependent, independent. Consistent means there's at least one solution. Dependent means there's infinitely many solutions. Independent means there's an independent solution. So let's see what we have. If we're going to solve this by elimination, maybe eliminate the x's. Or the y's for that matter, because look at this. If you multiply by -2, multiply the first equation by -2, here's what you get. You get 8x minus 6y equals -30. And then if we take the second equation and leave it the same, -8x plus 6y equals +30, and we add those together. Now don't think of things as canceling out. You do have an equation. Here's what you got. You got -30 plus 30 is 0. This stuff plus this stuff is 0. You get 0 equals 0. Now, you don't get an independent solution. You don't get an x and plug it in to get a y. So we know it's not consistent and independent. There's not just one solution. Okay? But this equation is true. So this system has infinitely many solutions, which means consistent and dependent. Consistent, meaning it has at least one. It has an infinite number of solutions. And so that's consistent and dependent. My thought here is that not enough people actually did the work to get this. I think a lot of people did that in their head. So don't do that. All right, it also seemed like some of my students forgot some terms. Even, odd. Now we're talking functions, okay? Even or odd functions. So an even function is symmetric with respect to the y-axis. Well, what that means is mirror images. You flip one side over and it lands on the other side. Mirror images. Symmetry. This point flops over, lands on this point. Okay? So that is even. If you look at number 9, read it carefully. Here, look. This graph is the graph of an even function. Part B says this is the graph of an odd function. Well, take a look at number 9. Is that a function? It fails the vertical line test. That was supposed to be a vertical line. Here we go. So there, boom, it fails a vertical line. It's not even a function. So if it's not a function, it can't be an even function. If it's not a function, it can't be an odd function. The answer has to be C. But even if you didn't catch on to that, remember, even means symmetry with respect to the y-axis. If you flip it across that line, it lands on itself. Well, not this one. Odd means symmetry with respect to the origin. Remember what that means. You flip it over, right? You turn the paper upside down. Does it look like itself? No. If I turn it upside down, it looks more like that, right? So it doesn't have 180-degree rotational symmetry. It's not symmetric with respect to the y-axis. Okay, so this is neither an odd function nor it is an even function. Remember, this one isn't a function at all. So read carefully, make sure you know what the terms are, because you're going to see something like this on the test. All right, one more to look at. Check this out. It says, is this function even, odd, or neither? Now, this is a tricky one, but make sure you understand some things about fractions. What I mean is, like, what if you have negative 2/3? You could write it like this, negative 2 over positive 3. Then if you have positive 2 over positive 3, those are opposites of each other, okay? So keep that in mind. So what we're going to do is we got f of x. We're concerned with what happens when we have opposite inputs, okay? So what we're going to do is we take out the x and we put in the opposite of x, negative x. Meant to change colors there. Here we go. Negative x. All right, so here's what we have. We have negative x up here. This right here, negative x times negative x is positive x squared. Now check this out. This thing and this thing, the only difference is this right here, the negative. You see, if I were to simplify this a little bit, I know a negative over a positive is a negative. Here's another way to write this. Well, if that's another way to write this, then what we ended up with was the opposite of x over x squared minus 1. Well, that's f of x. So, opposite inputs gave us opposite outputs. Now, with fractions, that gets kind of tricky, so practice. Make sure that you hang in there, don't give up. Sign up for a Bulldog Block on Monday. We got this. Don't worry about one quiz. We're going to have tons of them. Okay, maybe that wasn't good news for you, but we're going to have many more quizzes. The tests, that's 50% of your grade. So let's get focused on that. You got this. Don't get discouraged. Hang in there. Get help when you need it. And I'll see you tomorrow.